Stop for a second. Look at how you are sitting right now. Are your shoulders rolled forward? Is your lower back rounded? Is your chin jutting toward the screen? Most people, when they actually check, realize they have been sitting like that for the last hour without noticing. And that posture, the one you just caught yourself in, has been quietly working against your belly fat the entire time. Not dramatically, not in a way you would ever feel, but measurably, consistently every single day. Here is the part that surprised me when I first came across this research. Posture affects belly fat through three completely separate biological mechanisms. It changes your cortisol levels through a body-to-brain feedback loop that most people have never heard of. It affects how much oxygen reaches your fat cells to power the oxidation process that actually burns them. And it determines how many calories your body burns just by existing throughout the day before a single intentional movement. A study from San Francisco State University had participants sit in either a slouched or upright position for 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. The upright group showed measurably lower cortisol and higher testosterone afterward. 2 minutes of sitting differently changed their hormones. Now multiply that by 8 hours of a workday. 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. The compound effect of your default posture on your belly fat is something almost nobody is talking about. 7 habits. Some of them are what naturally lean people do without thinking. Some of them are what most people do all day while completely unaware. Stay with me because habit number 5 is the one most people dismiss before they understand the mechanism. 2 minutes of a specific posture change reduces cortisol by 25%. The research is unambiguous. Before we start, drop a comment right now. Check your posture as you read this and tell me honestly, are you sitting upright or are you slouched? 3 mechanisms connect your posture to your belly fat. Understanding all 3 makes the 7 habits obvious. First, the body-brain cortisol loop. Your brain sends signals to your body constantly. But your body also sends signals back to your brain. This bidirectional communication means your physical posture is not just an output of how you feel, it is an input into how you feel. Collapsed, closed posture sends a low-status, low-safety signal upward to your brain. Your amygdala reads it. Cortisol rises. Visceral fat, with its 3 times higher cortisol receptor density, receives that fat storage signal continuously. Second, oxygen delivery. Fat cells need oxygen to be oxidized and burned. That oxygen is delivered through your bloodstream, powered by your breathing. Slouched posture compresses your chest cavity and reduces lung capacity by up to 30%. Less oxygen in, less fat oxidation possible, regardless of what else you are doing right. Third, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Upright posture continuously activates your postural muscles, your core, your back, your hips. These muscles burn calories all day at a low level just to hold you upright. Slouched posture deactivates them. The same 8 hours of sitting can produce meaningfully different calorie burns depending solely on posture. 7 habits determine which version of this your body runs every day. Habit number 1. Sitting and standing with natural upright alignment. This is the foundation that makes every other habit on this list more effective. Look at naturally lean people across different environments. Not gym people, not athletes. Just people who seem to stay lean without visible effort. They tend to sit differently. Their lower backs have a slight natural curve. Their shoulders sit back rather than rolling forward. Their heads are positioned over their spine rather than jutting toward whatever they are looking at. Not rigidly, not performatively, just naturally aligned. Here is why that posture produces a different metabolic outcome. When you sit upright, your transverse abdominis, your deepest core muscle, has to maintain low-level continuous activation to hold the position. Your multifidus muscles along your spine are similarly engaged. Your glutes stay partially activated rather than completely disengaged. These muscle groups are burning calories the entire time they are working, not large amounts per minute. But over 8 hours, 5 days a week, the difference between engaged and disengaged postural muscles adds up to a meaningful calorie deficit that requires no additional effort or time. A study in the European Journal of Applied Physiology measured caloric expenditure in participants who sat in upright versus slouched positions over a simulated 8-hour workday. Upright sitting produced significantly higher caloric expenditure due to greater postural muscle activation even at rest. Additionally, upright posture keeps your chest open. Your diaphragm is not compressed. Breathing depth is fuller. Oxygen delivery to your cells, including fat cells undergoing oxidation, is not restricted. Jennifer is a teacher who grades papers for hours in the evening. She realized she was always curled over her desk in a C shape when working. She started correcting her posture each time she sat down, imagining a gentle upward pull from the crown of her head. 3 weeks later, her lower back pain, which she had attributed to standing all day at school, was almost gone. And she noticed her core felt more engaged than it had in years without doing a single additional exercise. The fix is a simple check rather than an effortful hold. Imagine a string gently pulling upward from the very top of your head. Let that pull settle your ears over your shoulders over your hips. Do not force a military posture. Just follow the string. Set a reminder every 30 minutes to check and reset if needed. Habit number 2. Sitting slouched through most of the workday. This is the mistake that 8 hours of desk work almost guarantees without active intervention. Picture a typical work setup. The monitor is slightly too low. You lean forward to read it. Your upper back rounds. Your lower back loses its curve and collapses. Your chest closes. Or the opposite. You slide down in your chair over the course of an hour without noticing. Your hips tilt backward, your lumbar spine rounds, and you are essentially sitting on your tailbone with everything above it in a C shape. Both patterns are extremely common. Both send the same cortisol signal. Here is the specific mechanism. Collapsed posture physically compresses your chest. Breathing becomes shallower, moving from diaphragmatic to chest dominant. Oxygen uptake decreases. Simultaneously, the physical sensation of a closed, collapsed body position feeds back to your amygdala as a threat signal. Not dramatically. Your amygdala does not fire a full alarm, but it registers the body position as low status and low safety, and releases a low-level cortisol output in response. This runs for hours, all day, at the frequency of every moment you sit that way. A study published in Health Psychology found that maintaining an upright seated posture during a stressful task maintained self-esteem, reduced negative mood, and kept cortisol at significantly lower levels compared to slouched posture during the same stressors. The stressor was identical. The hormonal response was different. The only variable was posture. The fix is environmental before it is behavioral. Set your monitor to eye level so your head does not need to drop to see it. Add lumbar support to your chair. A rolled towel placed at the curve of your lower back works. Keep your hips at or slightly higher than your knees. Place both feet flat on the floor. When the environment supports good posture, your body defaults to it. When the environment works against it, willpower is not enough to sustain it. Habit number 3. Staying in one position for long stretches. This is the habit naturally lean people seem to break most consistently without a plan to do so. They get up to refill their water. They stand to think through a problem. They pace when they are on the phone. They stretch without deciding to stretch, just responding to what their body is signaling. None of it looks intentional. All of it is metabolically significant. Here is why posture variety matters beyond just avoiding bad posture. Any postural muscle group held in the same position for more than 30 to 45 minutes begins to fatigue. Fatigued muscles lose their activation level. Posture collapses regardless of your intention to maintain it. When you change positions, even briefly, you reset the activation cycle. Different muscle groups take over. The recently fatigued ones recover. Total muscle activation across the day stays higher. And each transition between positions, standing up, sitting back down, shifting to lean against something, creates a brief spike in NEAT. These spikes are small individually, but research from the Mayo Clinic consistently shows that the difference in daily NEAT between naturally lean people and people who struggle with weight can account for several hundred calories per day. A study in applied physiology, nutrition, and metabolism found that alternating between sitting and standing every 30 minutes throughout a workday produced significantly higher total energy expenditure compared to either continuous sitting or continuous standing at the same desk. Movement variety, not any single position, was the key variable. The fix requires a decision more than a technique. Give yourself permission to move more at work. Change positions every 30 minutes regardless of what you are working on. Take calls standing. Walk to a colleague rather than messaging them. Work from different locations within the same building when possible. Posture variety is what creates the calorie burn that posture alone cannot. Habit number 4. Looking down at your phone for hours. Every day, this is the posture habit that modern life has built into almost every person alive. You check your phone first thing in the morning. You check it while walking. You check it at lunch. You check it in the evening. Each time, your head drops forward and downward. Here is the physics of what that costs you. Your head weighs approximately 5 kilograms in neutral alignment directly over your spine. For every inch your head moves forward from neutral, the effective weight your neck and upper back muscles must support increases by roughly 4.5 kilograms. Most people's heads are 2 to 4 inches forward of neutral when looking at their phones. That is 9 to 18 kilograms of additional load on your cervical spine and upper back for every moment you look down. Sustained over hours, this creates chronic tension in your trapezius, your neck extensors, and your upper thoracic muscles. Chronic muscle tension activates your sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic activation means cortisol. Cortisol means fat storage signal, particularly at your visceral fat. A study from Surgical Technology International measured spine load at different head positions and found that 60-degree forward head flexion, the typical phone-looking angle, creates an effective load of 27 kilograms on the cervical spine and is associated with chronic systemic stress responses. Every hour of phone browsing with your head down is an hour of chronic tension and low-level cortisol. The fix is deceptively simple. When you use your phone, raise it to eye level instead of dropping your head to meet it. It feels slightly awkward at first because it is not your default. Within days, it becomes natural. Your neck tension decreases, your sympathetic arousal decreases, your cortisol decreases, the same phone usage, completely different physiological outcome. Habit number 5. Never using an open chest posture when stressed. This is the habit that surprises people most, because it sounds too simple to work. 2 minutes of standing a certain way reduces cortisol by 25%? That sounds like wellness marketing. The research is rigorous than that. Amy Cuddy and her colleagues at Harvard Business School ran a controlled study measuring hormone levels before and after participants held either high-power or low-power postures for 2 minutes. High-power postures were open and expansive. Chest open, shoulders back, body taking up space. Low-power postures were closed and constricted. Arms crossed, shoulders hunched, body making itself smaller. 2 minutes of the high-power group produced average testosterone increases of 20% and average cortisol decreases of 25% compared to the low-power group. 25% less cortisol from 2 minutes of posture. Your body is not just communicating your internal state to the world. Your posture is communicating back to your own brain and changing your hormonal environment. Mark is a tech executive who has high-stakes presentations regularly. He started spending 2 minutes in the bathroom before major presentations, standing with his chest open, shoulders back, and hands on his hips or raised slightly. He did it for performance, not for fat loss. But 2 months into this habit, he noticed his belly was responding differently than it had in years despite no changes to his diet or workout routine. The 25% reduction in cortisol during his highest stress moments of the week was measurably changing his hormonal baseline over time. The fix is using this deliberately rather than waiting for it to happen. When you feel stress building, find 2 minutes alone. Stand with your feet shoulder width apart. Open your chest, pull your shoulders back and down. Hold your arms slightly out from your body or place your hands on your hips. Breathe slowly. 2 minutes. Before the difficult meeting, after the stressful call, at any point when you feel cortisol climbing. Habit number 6. Slouching or lying down immediately after meals. This is the habit most people have never connected to belly fat. You finish eating. The natural response is to relax. You slide down in your chair, round your back, let your belly compress. Or you move to the couch and lie down. Both of these feel like reasonable recovery after a meal, but both create a specific problem with insulin. Here's what happens to digestion in a collapsed or horizontal posture. Your stomach is a muscular organ that relies partly on gravity and partly on muscular contractions to move food toward your small intestine. When you are upright, gravity assists this process. When you slouch severely or lie flat, gravity works against it. Gastric emptying slows. This means glucose from your meal enters your bloodstream more slowly, but the process is extended. Insulin that should be clearing glucose and falling within a couple of hours stays elevated for longer because it is responding to a prolonged trickle of glucose rather than a clear wave. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology found that upright posture after meals significantly accelerated gastric emptying and reduced post-meal insulin elevation compared to supine or severely slouched positions. Extended insulin elevation means extended fat storage mode. The window where growth hormone and low insulin enable fat burning is delayed. The fix follows from the walking habits research we covered previously. After every main meal, sit upright or stand for at least 20 minutes before lying down. The 10-minute post-meal walk from the walking habits video is the ideal combination. You are upright, you are moving, you are clearing glucose through the GLUT4 pathway, and you are avoiding the insulin-extending effect of post-meal slouching simultaneously. Habit number 7. Walking with poor posture. This is the final habit, and it is the one that determines whether your daily steps are delivering their full fat-burning potential. Look at people walking in any public space. Two distinct groups. One group walks with their head forward, eyes down, shoulders rounded, arms barely moving. Maybe they are looking at their phone, maybe it is just their default. The other group walks with their head up, eyes forward, shoulders back, arms swinging naturally. Same speed, same distance. Different calorie burn. Here is the research. A study in the Journal of Experimental Biology measured energy expenditure in walkers with different postural patterns at the same pace. Upright walking produced approximately 15 to 20% higher caloric expenditure per mile compared to forward-leaning or slouched walking. The difference comes from muscle activation. Upright walking engages your glutes, your core, your upper back, and your hip flexors more fully. Slouched walking transfers mechanical load away from these muscles and into passive structures, your joints and ligaments, which do not burn calories. If you walk 10,000 steps per day, upright posture could mean 50 to 80 additional calories burned from the same steps. Over a year, that is 18,000 to 29,000 additional calories, roughly 2 to 3.5 kilograms of fat. From the same walking you were already doing. The fix is a single mental cue rather than a complex technique. When walking, imagine a string attached to the crown of your head gently pulling you upward. Let your eyes look forward and slightly upward rather than at the ground. Keep your phone in your pocket. Allow your arms to swing naturally rather than crossing them or holding them rigid. Within a few days, this becomes automatic. Here is the complete picture. Habit 1. What lean people do naturally. Upright sitting and standing activates postural muscles continuously, burning meaningful additional calories over the course of a day and keeping oxygen delivery to fat cells unobstructed. Habit 2. The common mistake. Slouched sitting compresses the chest, reduces breathing depth, and sends a low-status signal to the brain that chronically elevates cortisol through the body-brain feedback loop. Habit 3. What lean people do naturally. Changing positions every 30 minutes creates continuous, neat spikes and prevents postural muscle fatigue from collapsing good posture by the second half of the day. Habit 4. The common mistake. Forward head posture from phone use creates chronic tension in the upper back and neck that activates the sympathetic nervous system and keeps cortisol elevated for hours at a time. Habit 5. What lean people do naturally. 2 minutes of open chest expansive posture during stressful moments reduces cortisol by 25% and increases testosterone by 20% through direct hormonal feedback. Habit 6. The common mistake. Slouching or lying down immediately after meals slows gastric emptying and extends the post-meal insulin elevation that blocks fat burning for an additional 40 to 60 minutes. Habit 7. What lean people do naturally. Upright walking posture burns 15 to 20% more calories per mile from the same steps, adding up to meaningful additional fat loss from walking you were already doing. Here is what I want you to sit with before you close this video. Posture is with you every minute of every day. You cannot leave it at home, you cannot take it off, and every minute it is either supporting your fat burning or quietly working against it. Not through dramatic mechanisms. Through consistent, accumulated hormonal signals that compound across hours and days and months. Lean people are not doing something extraordinary. Many of them simply move through their day in the physical alignment their bodies were built for. And it produces a different metabolic environment than the default collapsed posture that modern life encourages. Now, you know exactly what to look for and what to change. Try checking your posture once per hour tomorrow, just once per hour. See what you notice. Which of these 7 surprised you most? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. If this changed how you think about something as constant as your posture and its connection to belly fat, subscribe to What Science Reveals. Real science explained clearly every single week. And if you want to see how breathing habits, walking habits, and workday habits connect to everything we covered today, those videos are all linked right here. See you in the next one.